Everybody to today's session on project conflict. This is one of two sessions talking about project conflicts. But before we dive into project conflicts, we want to establish a context for how we view project conflict. Over here, what you see is our proprietary framework on the strategic business execution. And what our framework guides us is in order to achieve business execution excellence, you need to make sure the four major components are aligned. Those are value, behavior and attitude, integrating processes, important competencies, as well as core disciplines. On the next slide, you see that we dive a little bit more into detail. So for example, under value, behavior, and attitude, we have the ability to follow through, high integrity, teamwork, and resilience. And then you could see the rest. But where project conflict reside is in project management, one of our core disciplines, and project conflict is a subcomponent of the project management. So what are project conflicts? Project conflicts are disagreements between the triple constraints, the various constraints in the triple constraints. So for example, under tremendous pressure of schedule and scope, costs, in that example, may become a source of conflict. And it could be, of course, schedule as a source of conflict for in the context of the scope and cost. So, for example, on a typical IT project, the more time you have, that enables you to better testing, better coding, better design. But if you don't have that time, or in order to afford to, in order to buy that time, it requires more money. Reduction of scope will also achieve higher quality, of course, in most cases. So once you start looking at these parameters, that achieving the optimal solution often requires a resolution of balance that, unless resolved, can cause project conflict. The three groups of conflicts that we look at are relationship conflicts, and these are dealing with interpersonal conflicts. These are conflicts such as personal issues that you worked with a colleague in the past, you don't like to work with him or her. That's a relationship conflict. The second type of conflict are what we call task conflict. Task conflicts occurs due to difference of ideas and priority. So anytime when you have multiple teams, multiple business units coming together, for example, on an ERP implementation, there may be a difference of opinion, difference of priority, and these are considered task conflicts. And the third conflict we have are process conflict. Process conflicts are conflicts that concentrates on how tasks will be performed. These are genuine disagreements on the processes of, for example, of getting things done, of how decisions are made. It could even be the disagreement in project management tradition, traffic color. What does the red mean? What does the yellow mean, or amber? And what does the green mean? So these are process conflicts. How do conflicts impact project? Well, believe it or not, it's actually not always negative. We tend to think conflicts as a negative, and they can definitely be. So negative conflict, for example, is when the general project atmosphere deteriorates. People hate each other. The conflict spiral out of control, and what we call a sort of a death spiral, ultimately killing the project. That could happen. On the other hand, imagine being on a project in which everybody's agreeable, group hug every single day. There's hardly any real serious discussions because everybody's in agreement, and what you have is then a reduction of group. You have a group think. Conflicts reduce this group think because it challenges the team members to think differently. The other part of having project conflict is that it does bring out energies. When it's done properly, constructively, it brings out the best of people. People come up with ideas, contribute to a better solution. So solutions tend to be more sound. And this pans out in research as well. On this chart, you'll see that on the y-axis, we have the amount of innovation, and on the x-axis, we have task conflict. What you see here is a curvilinear relationship. Essentially what it says is when a project has too few conflicts, the ability to achieve innovation is relatively low. Let's say about 2.2, 2.3. When you have a moderate amount of conflict that's still constructive, you're able to achieve a lot more breakthrough innovation, innovative ideas. And of course, if you do have too many conflicts, the intensity of the conflict ultimately kills the project. This concludes our first of the two discussions on project conflict. If you enjoyed this one, please stay tuned for part 2. Thank you very much and have a good day.